A very surprising new development linked to the handshake has taken place just a few hours ago. Now, of course, this has interested a lot of political analysts, and it should, because we all know that the handshake is what is ruling Kenya currently. Now, in this very latest dramatic development, the Jubilee Party has announced that it will actually field a candidate for the vacant Kibra by-election slated for November 7th. Now, you'll remember the Kibra seat fell vacant, tragically, when the immediate former legislator, Ken Okoth, passed on as a result of cancer. He lost his battle with cancer. The late Okoth was a staunch and loyal member of the Orange Democratic Movement political party, led by handshake principal Raila Odinga. Now, the late Okoth was a grassroots politician, a politician that was probably ahead of his time. What do I mean by a grassroots politician? Well, this is somebody who's linked to the people on the ground. He has a very strong bond with the people on the ground, as opposed to a politician who rides on a wave. You know that a particular constituency you want to vie in, Jubilee Party is very popular there, ODM Party is very popular. So all you do is that you do some boardroom maneuvering and ensure that you win the ticket for that particular political party. And then you're home and dry. You're sure to win the election. The late Okoth was not that kind of politician. Indeed, he'd have vied on any political party ticket and still won the seat easily. I mean, the man was born and brought up in Kibra. Therefore, he knew a lot of his constituents by name, family names, individuals. And they too knew him. Bottom line is going to be a very tough act to follow. But back to the current developments. Since the handshake of March 18th, 2018, the Jubilee Party and ODM, the two parties which the two principals belong to, have never faced off in any electoral contest. But now, it seems we are set to see a battle between the two political giants. Gosh, how did that happen? After all, the handshake is still firmly in place. Raila Odinga is still very powerful, and still very close to his bosom buddy and his brother, the President Uhuru Kenyatta. So, what is really happening here? Actually, the answer to that question is going to surprise most of you. And it is this. It appears that the political class, I'm talking about all politicians, all political parties, the people who rule Kenya, are worried. They're very worried about the electorate. They're worried about voters. They have already sensed that voters in Kenya are in a very ugly mood, well ahead of the expected general elections in 2022. Now, the reason why this deeply worries them is obvious. Because politicians in Kenya are used to manipulating the masses. And if you cannot manipulate the masses, as you usually do, then obviously that is a cause for great concern. And so, the Kibra by-election is going to be used by the powers that be to gauge the new political direction amongst voters. And also, using this information, they will now strategize on how to manipulate voters in the next elections. It's as simple as that. Now, I can already hear somebody saying, "Oh, Chris, get out of here. How can Raila just give away the Kibra seat? Why should he have allowed Uhuru's Jubilee to field a candidate and threaten his hold over Kibra?" More so now, when some say that Raila is on a very slippery slope yeah, as far as his fanatic following is concerned. And indeed, Kibra, yeah, is a stronghold of Raila Odinga. Yeah, he has fanatical support in this particular constituency. At least he had. Yeah, I believe that is past tense. Yeah, going by the way politics is developing in Kenya. Anyway, to answer that concern, look at it this way. If Jubilee, a Jubilee candidate wins this seat, it doesn't matter. Yeah? If an ODM candidate wins this seat, it doesn't matter. Because those two political forces are joined at the hip at the moment via the handshake. For instance, in terms of voting for bills in parliament, it will not make any difference because the handshake is solid. Indeed, there are those who have said that ODM legislators these days support the government more strongly than Jubilee legislators allied to the president. Wonders never cease. And so, in my view, strategically, it makes a lot more sense to relax the competition when it comes to the Kibra by-election, and instead use this by-election to test the waters, read the mood of the public, and therefore be in a much better position to strategize for the much more important future elections in 2022. And in fact, more urgently, to strategize for the forthcoming referendum to change our constitution. Now, the Kibra constituency is the perfect place to do this because it's mainly a slum constituency. The people who vote in this particular area are very ordinary Kenyans. Kenyans who are facing a lot of difficulties financially at the moment. The poor people of Kenya, who make up a vast majority, a high percentage of voters in the entire country. It is fairly safe to say that currently, if you can read the mood amongst Kibra voters accurately, then you'll be able to read the mood amongst voters in the entire country. Now, let us take a moment to understand why Kenyan voters are in a very ugly mood. Now, if you're sitting in that beautiful, comfortable, air-conditioned office somewhere in Europe or the United States, or even somewhere in Westlands, Nairobi, you may have no idea what I'm talking about. Or chances are, you only know half the story. Well, bottom line, the hard economic times the country has entered into has hit Kibra residents the hardest. Let me give you a simple example. If the price of maize flour, because the main meal in Kenya is ugali, if the price of maize flour increases by a mere 10 shillings, that is very serious for Kibra residents. You see, these people, like the vast majority of Kenyans, live from hand to mouth. Some of them, for instance, work in industry area, or in construction sites, where they're paid daily or weekly. They're casual laborers, casual workers. Now, if you increase the price of maize flour by 10 shillings, it means that the 10 shillings which would have gone to buy vegetables, sukuma wiki, is no longer there. Because the unga is basic. That's the main part of the meal. And it means the family of 5, for instance, living in Kibra, will have to have their meal with less sukuma wiki and probably less ugali, because these are very tight budgets designed to go through an entire week, because casual laborers don't work ordinarily on Saturdays and Sundays. Now, having understood that, imagine a situation whereby it's not only unga which increases by more than 10 shillings, the sukuma wiki also increases dramatically. All other basic items, cooking fat, tomatoes, potatoes, onions, increase in price dramatically. Ultimately, what it means is that family may have to skip meals on some certain days. Yeah, and remember, most of these families have only one meal a day. Now, as I've said very many times on this channel, hungry people are the most dangerous political animals you can think of. Ask the former Sudanese strongman al-Bashir, and he'll tell you in greater detail that what I'm saying is absolutely true. Because he's out of power today simply because his countrymen, most of them, got hungrier. The price of bread went up dramatically. Now here's the super interesting part. Most Kenyans have not found it difficult to trace the source of their problems. And the source of their problems is the political class. Corruption. Corruption revelations. You're going hungry with your family. You're working very hard to put food on the table. But you hear somebody has stolen billions of Kenya shillings. And nothing is happening to him. People are just dancing around him. I think now you're beginning to understand. And then to make matters worse, the government is stretched. They have to raise finances to keep the country running. And the only way to do that is by taxing the citizens. These extra aggressive taxes have a very huge impact on Kibra residents. Because in Kenya, one of the results of this is that there are less job opportunities. Companies are cutting down. Expansion projects, which could attract extra employment, have been frozen by most companies in Kenya. And so suddenly, this Kenyan voter is faced with an opportunity to express themselves against the powers that be. How do you think they're going to vote? Naturally, they're going to vote very strongly anti-establishment. Chances are extremely high that they're going to vote for the candidate that they most identify as being one of them, not one of the people on the other side, the establishment. And that is why, in my view, the person I believe will start as a front runner in the race for Kibra is not an ODM candidate. In fact, that person belongs to the Jubilee Party. And it's none other than football star McDonald Mariga Wanyama. A few hours ago, the Jubilee Party Secretary General, Raphael Tuju, confirmed that McDonald Mariga is in fact one of the candidates vying or looking for a Jubilee ticket for the Kibra seat. Now, McDonald Mariga was brought up in the slums of Eastlands. He is the son of a very famous soccer player from the past, whom I used to greatly admire, called Noah Wanyama. He used to play on the left wing for Abaluya FC those days. Nowadays, Leopards AFC. He knows the language of the slums. He can identify with the voters. And the voters, more importantly, the voters can easily, very easily, identify with him. A former slum boy who made good and became a world famous soccer player. It is super fascinating that this trend emerged very clearly during the controversial Embakasi South by-elections. And that is why Ishad Sumra, yes, that's the Kenyan Asian, was running for the Embakasi South seat, but was beaten. Bwana Sumra declared interest in the Kibra seat. And during a rally recently, he attempted to address the crowd. I say attempted because he didn't quite manage it. Not only was he booed and heckled, but the crowd quickly turned rowdy. So much so that Makadara MP George Aladwa cooled them down, had to cool them down. And how did he cool them down? He told them, relax guys, Ishad Sumra has pulled out of this race. And there were cheers all round, and the crowd calmed down. Folks, that is the mood on the ground at the moment. Yeah. You see, Sumra, as hard-working a legislator as he was, I mean, he did quite a lot of things for the residents of Embakasi South, yeah, is seen as being part of the establishment. Yeah, he's an Asian. Asians are supposed to be rich. Asians work closely with the government. And so to the Kenyan voter, forget his track record, forget the fact that he was a hard-working MP, is part of the establishment. Therefore, the answer is no. Interestingly, a brother to the former legislator of Kibra, yeah, I'm talking about Bernard Imran, brother to the late Ken Okoth, has the same problem. Yeah, because the way voters on the ground are looking at him is that he agreed and he allowed the remains of his brother to be cremated. Therefore, he sided with the establishment rather than siding with the popular view of the people. Therefore, in my view, his fate is sealed. Folks, voters who are in an ugly mood are a politician's worst nightmare. And that is the main reason why, in my view, the Kibra constituency by-election is going to be the most interesting by-election in the history of Kenya. And I'm not kidding. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.